What is up, fellow nerds, and welcome to Not Your Status Quo. Tonight, we are doing our Superman spoiler-free, spoiler-filled review, and we're also going to talk a little what's next for the DCU. But before we get into all of that fun, Dave, how's it going, buddy?
It's going all right. I kind of had a rough week, but sandwiched in between, my rough week was sandwiched between two viewings of Superman. So on Tuesday, I saw it with you guys, and then I saw it again last night with Sierra. Sierra hadn't seen it yet because she's not as as geeky as I am, I guess. But she loved it. She said she gave it an 8 out of 10. I don't know what the 2 point downgrade was for her, but she really looked like I thought she was gonna tell me it was a 10. But she gave it an 8, and she's not here to represent it. So maybe she'll get online and chat with us about why she didn't give it a 10. Me, when I watched it again last night, I think my rating's gonna go up, but we'll find out about that later.
Way to tease him. Way to keep him here, Dave.
That's right. Where's the music? And so Doug, how are you? Oh, wait, he's not here.
Yeah, Doug is actually off rewriting his Authority movie after what happened in Superman. So he's got some changes coming. We might talk about what we think those changes are later.
Yeah, that could be a great what's next for Doug. So, with Doug being absent, how are you doing, Keith?
Well, Dave, I am tremendous. Another wonderful week of being a comic book nerd, and I'm excited to talk about this movie some more. I've seen it twice. You've seen it twice. I want to see it a third time. We got Fantastic Four coming out in a bit. We got Peacemaker Season 2 coming out. We got Alien Earth. We got Wakanda Eyes. There's a lot coming up. We're talking solo leveling this Thursday, too. Just a lot going on, and it's extra cool. So, are you ready to dive right in, sir?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's get in there.
So, I mean, the film starts out, metahumans have been around for 300 years. He has been Superman for like 3 years, and he's kind of balancing his life as a journalist at the Daily Planet and Earth's protector. And it starts out, well, it doesn't start out with this, but right after he intervened in a conflict between Baravia and Johanna. I said those completely wrong. And that's okay. Jahanapur, yeah, that's right. And he's facing backlash from everybody. And Lex Luthor sends the hammer of how do you say it? Baravia, which is actually Ultraman, the clone of Superman, in armor. And the thing that he has over Superman, Lex Luthor has studied all of Superman's fighting moves. He knows every counter, and he's basically feeding his clone exactly how to beat him up. And, it starts out, we find out that Superman has lost his first battle. And we see him land in the North Pole. He calls...
And what you said when we were at the theater was that it would be cool if Ultraman ended up being Henry Cavill. I think that would have been freaking cool too. But Sierra had another offering. She said it would have been cool if it was Tom Welling. I think
equally cool. I would have went either way. I just thought...
Yeah, I think those are both great ideas.
The only reason I thought they might do Henry Cavill is because the Smallville fans aren't rebelling against this movie like the Snyder bots are. So I thought that might be a way to kind of bridge the gap a little bit. But I don't think anything will appease the Snyder cultists until... Nothing will.
No.
Because it's not ever happening that he's coming back.
No, sir. All right, continue. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to.
No. That's always good. He lands at the North Pole. He calls Crypto. Crypto brings him back to the Fortress of Solitude. They give him some sun to rejuvenate him. We find out the engineer is actually following him, finds the fortress, but it obviously, once Superman flies off, it disappears back into the ground. But Lex says, get back here. We will get it later. And he comes back, and he's fighting the Hammer again.
And immediately when he gets back, Lex already has the game plan of what he wants to do. And it shows, like on the screen he's watching it, it shows the move before he does it. So, like, he gets back and obviously he starts getting beat up again. And he ends up getting thrown to the ground. And um, the hammer announces, what does he announce? What was the exact words?
I don't know his exact words, but he basically said he's going to continue to make, the United States pay or whatever for what happened.
Because of what Superman did.
Yes, because of the interference.
Yep. And so the crowd rebels against him and says, like, why did you do that? And there's I didn't know in that crowd after what had just happened, why would somebody have a can of corn just ready to go to throw at his head?
Well, no, that was after they revealed the rest of the message.
Oh, you're right. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Because the one guy kind of helps him up when he's in the ground. And then, he kind of goes back. He's, I loved, one of my favorite things about this movie is the banter between Clark and Lois. When she's like giving him stuff, oh, you had an interview with Superman? And he's like, oh, yeah, it's good journalism or whatever. And she's like kind of doubting him. And, they're going back and forth. It's great. Jimmy kind of doing his thing. It's funny because when I rewatched it, he goes, oh, I have a source that said he's in the, a pocket universe. Did you see what her name was in the phone?
Oh, I did, but I can't remember
Mutant Toes.
Yes, that's right. Yes,
and then when they meet up later, she's like, you said my toes. I can't remember what he said now. And he's like, oh, they're just different or whatever. And I'm like, she better not see the contact.
I did. I remember her saying that specifically. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say.
So to the next step.
Yeah. Hold on. Oh, well, I forget what happened. He knows Superman isn't going to. Oh, Lex and them show up at the Fortress of Solitude. The engineer is like, how are we going to get in there? And he's like, oh, don't worry about it. And because Ultraman is a clone of Superman, comes out of the ground, doors open for them. Number 4, Gary is like, oh, Superman, who are you? And big fight ensues. The engineer and Ultraman kind of take out all the robots. And she finds out that there's more to the message that Clark has heard his whole life from his Kryptonian parents than he knows. And then they're like, aren't you worried Superman's going to come back? And he goes, I have a plan for that. And then we see Otis and the other release that tiny little monster who turns into a giant monster.
Mike, wasn't the interview that she had with him before this?
Oh, it was, yes. He goes over and makes her breakfast for dinner.
And the whole interview section, it kind of drove me nuts a little bit. I didn't hate it, but it was just like, if she's doing the interview, she keeps telling him this is on the record. Well, she doesn't have to print it. If he's, obviously he called her Lois and she called him Clark during the interview. And then she says, this is on the record. You can't just leave that part out. Come on.
See, but I don't think she did it for that reason. I think she's going to leave it out. She's going to protect him. But she needs him to understand, if you're going to do interviews outside of her or himself, you got to be better. And so she wasn't doing it to be mean or so. She's like, you got to get better at being interviewed because everyone's going to want to interview at times and you got to get better. So I think we're going to see his interviewing skills get better because she's even making fun of him. Oh, you're making Superman doesn't do social media or whatever. Do you call yourself the third person?
Yeah, third person quotes nowadays. Well, I had practiced.
So I do think it was her just trying to get him to be better with this because it's not always going to be his girlfriend or himself interviewing him. So I kind of, that's how I took it. I always look for the bright side of stuff. And I was like, okay, she's just trying to help him because he needs it. And then obviously Lex and them are at the thing. They released a little monster. It's huge. Finally, I did like though, one, you see a big belly burger sign while he's fighting it. But they also say, oh, this was only 7 foot tall at Jitters this morning, which is the coffee shop from like the CW Flash and everything. So he's really thrown in a bunch of Easter eggs for all the DC properties from all time.
It's pretty cool. I mean, he can sprinkle in whatever he wants, and he wants to make it canon. That's what he'll do.
Yep.
I'm assuming that the Suicide Squad is canon,
Some of it.
but which parts?
We don't know yet. He says if it's ever mentioned in a DCU property, it's canon. But like most of Peacemaker season 1 is probably going to be canon, except maybe
Except for that last scene, yeah.
Or they just
Well,
made
as evidenced by his appearance in this movie, which was just amazing. I mean, 10 seconds in there, he goes, of course, he just, what do you say? Of course he just arrested the guy, or he didn't kill it, or something.
He goes, I love it because he's like, Superman is jealous of me because I'm more jacked than him. And I laughed both times I saw it when he said it. And I have to ask you this. Am I becoming a John Cena fan?
Only in the context of the DC universe.
As an actor. As an actor, I think I'm becoming a fan. I don't care about his
Really?
wrestling.
What else have you seen him in outside of DC that you liked him in?
Nothing.
Have you seen Ricky Stenicki?
I have not.
You should watch that. It's pretty funny, actually.
Okay, I can definitely check that out. I can check that out, sir. But
hey, what's up, fellow nerds? Is on YouTube. Thank you, Doug.
Thank you. What is up, fellow nerds yourself? I don't know if you've seen it a second time, but let us know if your rating has changed at all. We'll read it on air. I know that's a thrill for you. But, you know, they're battling it. And two things I liked. Like the way Superman used his powers without it being silly. Like, he uses his X-ray vision to see what Mr. Terrific threw down the kaiju's mouth and what's going on, instead of it being a scene like, oh, what color underwear am I wearing, like from the Superman 1978. So you got to see, oh, he has X-ray vision and he's using it to see, and he's just like, you know, he wanted to save that creature. He knows that creature wasn't evil. He didn't know Lex released it into the city, but he's like, listen, we got to try to save it. We can't take it down. We got to get these people out of here. You know, he's doing all of the perfect Superman things. And in the same fight, you know, he saves that girl, and then he saves a squirrel. Like, he's like,
Yes.
he is the Superman that I've always thought of Superman is. All life is sacred to him. You know, he doesn't, a squirrel, a girl, cats, dogs, you know, insects probably too. He's there to save it all. And it's like, when you see that, you're just like, oh, right. Yeah. And then how dejected he was when he realizes that Mr. Terrific basically killed it. He was just like,
oh yeah, yeah. We could have done something here. And you know, I heard going into it like this was gonna be kind of like Smallville season 11. Hit the button if you want to.
I don't have the sound on the new computer yet.
Oh, all right, no big deal.
Somebody save me. Which, if I was thinking, we're reviewing Superman, that should have been the first thing I transferred to my new PC.
Right? And you know I'm going to be there, so. But, yeah, in a lot of ways, it was. I like the way, well, the thing I thought is that he caught like 3 or 4 falling buildings or something like that. Or the falling, what was that? Is a Gojira?
Kaiju?
Gaiju? Why am I thinking Gojira? What is that I said? Is that something in anime?
Maybe. I don't know what that is.
Gaiju, anyway. And you know, he's catching heavy things and always saving it for one person. He saved that dog, you know. Yeah. And then when they got it at the end and it fell down, he caught it then too, you know. He's doing, like you said, he's being Superman. And he's, even within the fight, like even back like when Christopher Reeve and Superman 1, during the middle of the fight, would stop and say, you know, it's still the safest way to travel, you know, and he did that here when they was fighting the, oh geez, what was it called again?
The Kaiju?
Kaiju. When he was fighting the Kaiju and it burned up, you know, a hole in that building and all the people went running, and he's just hanging there, he's like, am I right? You guys are okay? Okay, good. And he smiles before he turns back around. He's like, all right, you're good. That's the Superman we've been missing. He's been too dark and brooding.
Yes.
This is real refreshing.
An excellent representation we got this time, and I'm very happy. But while this is all going on, the engineer is actually fixing the whole message that his parents actually sent to him. And then after the fight, it's released that they actually told him to basically rule these simpletons on Earth and, get many wives and basically push your seed, out to everybody. And of course, people are hearing this and kind of upset, like, seriously, what's going on? But he was raised by his, Smallville parents. And they taught him right from wrong and how to be. And it was funny because, you saw the scene where he's talking to Lois while the Justice Gang is fighting the interdimensional imp, which I have to ask you, was that Mxyzptlk or was that Batmite?
It was my guess to be Mxyzptlk. But didn't that give you like Guardians of the Galaxy 2 vibes, the opening scene? But just hilarious the way they're attacking it in the background. It's just like not even his thoughts. He's just said, well, that's some good coffee,
Call Coco. Who was Coco? Yeah.
Yeah, he was like, that's good. Oh, they can handle it. Loved it.
Yeah, it was so great. I was watching it more in the background the second time I watched it too, because I was focusing on the conversation the first time, because he said, and I love this, when he's talking to her, she says, he's just a dog. He said, yeah, and not a very good one, but he's out there alone and is probably scared. Another perfect Superman quote. He doesn't care that the dog is a little rambunctious. He knows, hey, that dog is scared. It's alone. I got to do whatever I can to save it. Because she's like, why would you turn yourself in? He goes, I don't know where to find crypto, basically. And maybe they'll take me to the same place he is. And once again, just
John Wick in him.
Yeah, heart swells up with joy hearing, Superman say that instead of frowning at the camera and going and punching something. No disrespect to Henry Cavill. Great actor. It was the writing. But
yeah, he didn't write it.
Yes. So, he turns himself in. We assume the Justice Gang stopped Mxyzptlk. We assume because we don't hear about it anymore, and they're relaxing later on. But, Ultraman's manhandling Superman. He's like, is this really necessary? I turned myself in. And, Rick Flag's kind of talking to him like, you don't really have any rights right now. You're an alien from another planet. We don't know what's going on, so you really don't have any rights. We're turning you over to Luthor, or oh my God, I forgot to write it down. What is Planeteers or?
Planet Watch.
Planet Watch, and
yeah, Planet.
They end up taking
and
him.
His pocket dimension.
Yeah, they end up taking him to that pocket dimension, and of course, they had hinted earlier. Well, they had said earlier on in the movie, well, there's no kryptonite anymore. And Lex, being Lex, basically blackmails Metamorpho by kidnapping his son and making him create kryptonite to keep Superman down. And then while that's going on, Lois, goes to the Justice Gang's headquarters to try to, recruit them to help. And, even Guy Gardner's like, first I took a vow not to get in politics. That was part of the vow? It was implied.
Oh.
It was implied. And she's like, every time Ewa doesn't want to do something, it's part of the vow. Or whatever. He's like, hey, I don't think Big Blue would do it, but no, I'm not getting involved or whatever. I'm not breaking him out of that jail or whatever. It's not what I'm doing. And Hawk Girl kind of agrees. But Mr. Terrific decides to go just to kind of piss off Guy Gardner, which I thought was great. And I do. Even though it's been done before, it cracks me up when they walk up to that thing
and it's like a Family Guy thing.
Yeah.
like that time you threw the frog out the window, and it took him like a half an hour to do it. That's what I thought of.
And I'm just laughing the whole time. And of course, she's like, you got a UFO and that thing can't open any faster? He's like, I haven't worked on it yet. I'll get to it. But he kind of And he also says, yeah, I put some nanotech in Superman's bloodstream so I could track him. And you could see all of a sudden he was here and then he's gone. And if he was dead, the nanotech would still be functioning, so we would know. But I do believe your pocket, realm or pocket universe is correct. So he takes her there. And I dug. Did you know Michael Rosenbaum was one of the voices of the Raptors?
Yes.
I couldn't figure out which one. I had saw it, and when I was watching it again the second time, I'm like, which one is he? Talk.
Yeah, I still didn't hear his voice. I just saw his name in the credits. So anyway, I'm sure he just he's got his minimum paycheck for that movie, which is cool. Good for him. And he should have been in the movie anyway. Like what's his name? The guy Nicholas Hoult said he based his Lex Luthor on Michael Rosenbaum's Lex Luthor, and you could tell it was good.
You could definitely tell. So they show up. I loved the fight scene with Mr. Terrific and the Raptors and everybody basically at Luthor's camp there. He keeps Lois safe under his force field, and he's just using his T-spheres to just take people out. But the way the camera was angled, like from Lois's point of view and going all around, at one point he's walking up, it looks like he's going to lower, then he raises up on the spheres and he's whipping them at people and blasting people, and I was just like, it was better the second time watching it because I knew it was coming. Yeah. So I'm like, okay, I need to watch everything here. What's going on? Oh, yeah. So well done.
Yeah, that was definitely like one of the best scenes in the movie. And you got to see that Mr. Terrific is not just some dude in a chair. He's got some moves.
Yeah, he's not just a genius, level intellect. He's got some good stuff going on. But he ends up, and of course he's like, setting up for the big finale. He's like, he did create a pocket universe. He doesn't understand. Every time he opens and closes, there's a chance a black hole could rip the Earth apart and, all this stuff. And he ends up getting inside. And then obviously, Lois, should we repel? You think I'd bring repelling gear into a pocket universe?
Repel down to what?
He's just like, he's so annoyed with everybody. And, so he sends his T-spheres out there. And at that time, Lex is like, I'm going to ask you a question, Superman. And who are you working with? No one. No, the first time okay, so he does it again. Where were you raised? I can't tell you that or whatever. Oh, I thought that would have taken longer.
And you know what? I was kind of shocked that happened. I didn't think, because he was just a character that helped him out of the ditch and gave him some free food a few days before.
Yep.
And I was surprised that because they hadn't gone that far with it yet so far in the movie, So I was kind of surprised when it happened. I was like, whoa, that kind of threw me a little bit. Okay, yeah. This is getting more serious.
Yeah, and watching it the second time, you realize that was all done for Metamorpho's change. When he realizes, okay, this guy's bad. He's blackmailing me with my son, but this guy said he could help my son or save it, so that's probably the better option at this point. I can't trust that gun-toting maniac out there, and he ends up taking the kryptonite back, but unfortunately, there's no yellow sun in this pocket universe, so he has to create, hydrogen and everything to kind of boost Superman up. Not to full levels, but at least get him enough where he can break out and go save his son, and he does.
Yeah. And I like that was just enough power to get him to, get his son and move around in there, and he didn't really get his full power back until he got up into the world. I thought that was some good detailed thinking, pay attention to details.
Yeah, it makes sense, because he would have been able to take those Raptors out at full power without even barely thinking. But because he wasn't fully powered, they were fighting him, and he was doing everything he could to save Metamorpho's son, because he couldn't carry him. And then, of course, Crypto, he gets Crypto out, so he's flying around. And I don't know why I laugh. Every time Crypto goes after one of Mr. Terrific's T-spheres, it just cracks me up. It's like, oh, no. What's going on? You see him? Oh, dog comes up and bites it. But they end up getting out of the pocket universe. He ends up, defeating Ultraman in a fight, which this is all after Lex sort of lets loose a black hole to swallow up. And of course, they have a code to stop it at any time, but he's letting it destroy as much as possible until, things get thing. And, we find out Ultraman is a clone of Superman. It wasn't Henry Cavill, wasn't Tom Welling. It was, David Corenswet, which I get it. Fine.
100% makes sense, but it would have been cool.
That's just all. Yeah. And it was funny, too, because he even said earlier in the film, you know how many battle things I had to, search after you got done, and just to find a simple hair or whatever to do that? It was nice. He didn't. It wasn't his DNA and Superman's DNA for Superboy. Maybe comes later. You never know. But, he ends up defeating him, Ultraman that is, throwing him into a black hole, which I think we'll talk a little more in depth about that later, because there's some theories on what's next with that whole thing. And he goes to Luthor's little flying ship. He confronts him. Lois finds out all of the information thanks to Eve Tessmacher, who is Mutant Toes. Sends it all, and she figures out he sent him 80 billions in weapons. They've only paid like 5 million, something like that, and it doesn't add up. And he wants Luthorville to be a part of Jarenport. What? Yeah.
Plans or something, but yeah, and it turns out she's smarter than Jimmy. What she was doing, and he didn't have any understanding of it. He had no idea. She was like taking, and she can't walk up to something and just take a picture of it. That'd be too obvious. So she was smart enough to do that, but he wasn't smart enough to decode it. So, boo on you, Jimmy.
Yeah, and you see her the second time. She's walking around, always taking selfies when you see her in certain things. So, I love little attention to detail like that. So when you watch it a second time, you kind of get all that. But he ends up telling Guy Gardner and the Justice Gang, hey, you need to go stop that war going on over there. I'm doing this here. And it all, works out. They end up arresting Lex Luthor based on all the information that Lois found out. And he's sent to Belle Reve, which could be very interesting. Later we'll talk about that more. And
it's a prison in the book, but on Smallville, it's a mental asylum.
Yep. Somebody save.
Keep going with those.
Yeah. Yeah, we don't want to lose everybody. But, we do find out he's sent there. Ultraman went through the black hole. We don't know what happened with him. The war was stopped. And Supergirl comes back to get her dog, Crypto. And a lot of people were like, that's not Supergirl. What's going on? And this is based off Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow, where she basically was stuck on Krypton while it was blowing up and stuff, and she fought and had to kill and get off there. She is a different character than Superman. She wasn't raised in Kansas by, good parents. She was basically raised in battle and war and everything else. So she's totally different character. Millie played her great. That's exactly how I expected it to be. So it'll be interesting to see Supergirl now and how that all transpires with her like that. Because in the comics, yeah, she goes to different planets with the Red Sun so she can drink and get drunk and party and have a good time. Because she's had a rough life, and, that's the way she handles it. Oh, and I did want to say, too, I talked earlier about his X-ray vision, instead of having a silly scene where he's like, oh, I can tell what, undershirt you're wearing or whatever. He used his X-rays to see what was going on inside the kaiju, and he used his super breath to help propel them out of the black hole when they were in the pocket universe. Metamorpho's trying to pull them, and he's got the baby, and he ends up using that to help pull them out of the gravitational pull. And I was like, that's a good use of that power instead of just like freezing some guys, later on. So kudos to James for kind of writing it that way. But
I was also thinking the second time I saw it, he had a lot of more options where he could have used his heat vision or laser vision or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
There were a few times I was surprised when he finally used it. I was like, oh, why hadn't he used that yet? You know what I mean?
No, agreed.
But when I watched the show Smallville, they took I was thinking about this, comparing it with the movie. Like, there's no other way they could have really done it. They had to get into the story. And I like that if you're just like a comic book reader and just pick up a story and you start reading it, that's where we started off here. I love that it wasn't an origin story, but like I was saying in Smallville, every week or every, 4 episodes or something, he developed a new power. And, it was kind of cool just to watch it evolve like that. We didn't get that here, but I also don't think we've seen the limit of his. Like, if going to another movie, he'd probably have some powers that he didn't show in this movie, kind of like an Iron Man type of thing.
Yeah.
How he always evolving suit, he's always evolving powers. I think that'll be a what's next, part of a what's next for me.
No, and it's nice too because we didn't have to have an origin of Guy Gardner. We didn't have to have an origin of Mr. Terrific. We didn't need an origin of Hawkgirl. For the most part, you understand it, they do a good job of letting us know what their powers are. Through showing, not exposition. And if they want to do a little bit of the origin later because it'll fit to a story, they can. But for the most part, the really nerdy fans like us, we know Guy Gardner, we know Mr. Terrific, we know Hawkgirl. But if you don't know these characters, you still understand them. You figure out, okay, Guy Gardner does stuff with his ring. Hawkgirl's got a big mace and she flies around. And Mr. Terrific has these spheres and technology and stuff he does. So, we didn't get bogged down with origin stories. Much like Guardians of the Galaxy. I mean, more so with that because nobody knew who Star-Lord was or Groot or Rocket Raccoon, Gamora. So he doesn't have to give origins. And I like the way it's all going. We're not going to get an origin story every movie. We don't need to see the pearls with Batman and Batman Brave and the Bold. We didn't need to see the spaceship crash landing on Earth and them seeing it. We know that. So you're right. It was great. We got in, and it set it all up at the beginning. Hey, metahumans have been around for 300 years, so they could do some period pieces later on in the past with certain superheroes, maybe Justice Society, because we did see, I don't know if you noticed the second time around, the Hall of Justice had a mural of the Justice Society. I saw Wildcat, and I think I saw the one Green Lantern, and I forget who else. I forgot who else. I should have written it down. But there seemed to be a mural of Justice Society. So we may get, much like Captain America, the First Avenger, going back in time to see some Justice Society stuff at a later date. If it could tie into the big...
Fate?
Dr. Fate,
And
yes.
Hawkman?
I didn't see
Yes, sir.
Hawkman, but I did see Dr. Fate.
But as
But,
far as I left this out. Not that I've reviewed anything yet, but when we got to the end, when she's carrying the president of Bravia, and he's like, "Oh, I know you won't do anything to me. Yeah, I am not Superman. See you later."
yep.
That that shows. Yeah, not every superhero. I mean, obviously in Marvel they kill people, but not every superhero is like Batman or Superman. If they will take you out in this universe. They
And that's
have
the thing, too. I mean, Batman doesn't kill because he saw his parents get killed. He understands what that does. So he's never going to kill. Superman has always been, he can't be judge, jury, and executioner because he's too powerful. If he starts taking that on, no one can trust him.
Yeah.
He's got to be that Boy Scout because he's too powerful to be anything else and be trusted by the people. Where Hawkgirl, I mean, she has no problems with it. She's a warrior, just like Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman kills. She is a warrior for Themyscira, for the Amazons, and she has no problem. And it's nice. Most people can't understand. Oh, the DCU is going to be too colorful and stuff because the Superman movie was that way. That Clayface movie coming out is going to be rated R. It's probably going to be very dark. Theme is going to be totally different than this. You can have Superman be very bright, hopeful, joyful, all this stuff, and then you can have the other movies like Batman and any other darker characters have a much more darker theme. It all fits. It doesn't. They do it in comics. You don't have to, because one movie is one thing doesn't mean every movie in the universe is going to be that way.
And in my opinion, your Superman story has to be bright. You have to. That's his symbol on his shirt. On his chest means hope. You can't have a dark movie for hope. I'm sorry, not sorry, Zack Snyder. You can't make everything dark and brooding, especially Superman.
Yeah. It's just like in the MCU. Spider-Man stories aren't going to be super dark because he's kind of that, but the Punisher had better be. We'd be saying the same thing, if they made a Punisher movie in the MCU and he was like cracking jokes and laughing and dancing around, I'd be like, yeah, that's not the character, and I wouldn't like it. Much like the way they treated Superman in the DCEU, I just didn't think it fit. Didn't like it.
Yeah, he was too dark and brooding, and Henry Cavill could have been a brighter Superman. He did have scenes where he was smiling and stuff, and say, he did the regular Superman lines, but the rest of the movie was so dark, it overshadowed it.
Yeah.
You like how I worked that in there?
I did. That was great. Oh, Tundra Walker. Oh, somebody save me. But why is Jor-El acting like Gargamel? Oh, that's funny. That is good, Tundra Walker. Sandman, it wasn't dark until Zod showed up. Yeah, he's defending Man of Steel again. It's still, he was not a happy-go-lucky Superman. He didn't feel like, to me. But I want to talk about the Jor-El thing because I know it's been, a lot of people are upset about how they made Superman's parents being like, yeah, take over that world, rule it with an iron without mercy.
Yeah, I wanted to mention something about that too when you're done.
Yeah, it's just, that was, I liked it because it was a twist in the movie. I wasn't expecting it. And, I mean, think about it. Kryptonians would probably think they're simpletons. They don't have the thing we have. They even said that. Rule them, let them understand, be Kryptonian and stuff. But it did a good job of showing how being raised by good parents, like the one like Mom and Pa Kent, changed him into the person he is. He's not he's Kryptonian, but he wasn't raised by Kryptonians to think that way. He was raised by humans. In his little speech at the end when he's talking, I make mistakes every day. I'm as human as anybody else here, and I'm not going to do what my biological parent says. I'm basically going to follow my human parents. And I thought that was the theme of the overall movie, so it worked. Not that I necessarily want, Jor-El to be evil, want to ruin, but that's just how he was. I didn't take it as, oh, he's evil. He just felt like Kryptonians are superior to Earthlings, and so he should go rule them. It doesn't make him a bad person.
And what I was going to say was that storyline.
Tundra Walker just said, hold on. He goes, I got in so much trouble asking if I could have a secret harem. Let me just tell you, Tundra Walker, you don't ask to have a secret harem. You just do it. It's secret. You don't got to tell anybody. Gargamel and Azrael. Oh.
Well, that storyline played out on Smallville in season 2, where it was the episodes where Christopher Reeve was on there interpreting Kryptonian for Clark. And that was the same message. The first half, we love you, my son, and all that, and be a good man. And then rule them, rule Earth is like a new planet or whatever. They're very young in their evolution. Rule them with honor. And that was the same message there. He goes, I don't want to rule. So that was a big part of like that show, his struggling with that. And, and the Kents putting into him that, you are who you are. Your parents can't control who you're going to be. You are who you are by who you're being raised. Not by who you're being raised by.
By your choices and your actions.
Yes. And that was the whole message. That was a big message on that show. And I think the way they explained it on the show, it didn't take as long to explain it here in the movie.
Yeah, and I think, like he said, he loved James Gunn as a Smallville fan, so he did take some of the elements he liked out of it. But, I mean, I definitely thought it worked in this movie because it showed you're not who your biological parents are, per se. You are who raised you. And it shows, even Lois at the one point, she goes, I don't doubt it. You want to help people. And he showed it through his actions. He saved everyone he could whenever he could, and he did his best to save. He was so angry in that interview, like with Lois, because he's like, I saved people's lives. That should matter. And everyone's, well, did you talk to the president? No, I saved lives. Did you talk to this? You caused a an event.
International
How
incident.
did you think that? I saved lives. He thinks that is the most important thing. And
Yeah.
obviously, that could get him in trouble at times, like it kind of did at the beginning of this movie. But, I mean, that's what you want your Superman to be, saving lives over anything else. And we definitely got that this movie, and I loved it. I really did enjoy the movie more the second time watching it than the first time. And I can't wait to see it a third time because I think I'll like it even more. Even the, like, opening 30, 35 minutes that, was a lot of exposition that we got. I didn't mind it the second time. Watching it, I'm like, okay, I know where this is going, so it's good. It's good. Oh, you know, I loved the fact that at the beginning of the movie, the robots were like, oh God, Tundra Walker, Keith drinking Gunny peach tea. I think it's Granny's, not Gunny's. Not what? Not really watching Man of Steel, Tundra Walker. You don't even know it's Granny's peach tea, not Gunny's. It's not a gunnery sergeant from the Marine Corps.
Oh, by the way, the second time through, did you spot?
Oh, he said James
Oh, there
Gunn.
you go. Did you spot all the Guardians of the Galaxy that had been that were in this movie?
I heard Rooker's voice and I heard Palm's voice.
Wasn't Palm in a scene like very briefly before that? I swear I saw her. She didn't say anything. She was just there, and it
Maybe
was
she
right
was.
before. Yeah, it was right before I heard her voice, and I was like, "That's no, wait, is that her?" I think it was her the second time through. I'm gonna have to see it again. Oh darn, to make sure.
Yeah, I'll have to see it again too. And okay, we get it. We get it, Tundra Walker. James Gunny Peach Tea. And I am. I thought this was great. I thought this was just head and shoulders better than Man of Steel. I think
Yeah.
outside of maybe Superman the movie in 78, this might be the best Superman movie out there. And I think what's even better, building on this, we may get a sequel to this that's on the level of Spider Man 2. He's established stuff and then he can make the movie he wants to make. So why does it have to be anything in relation to Man of Steel? Just something to compare it to. I mean, I am not I understand you like Man of Steel, lots of people like Man of Steel, and that's fine. I didn't. You gave them both an 8.5. Awesome. I
That
just
that's cool that you still like this one, even though you like that one, because they're such polar opposites. That's pretty cool. You got a wide preference there. I would not give a Man of Steel. I'd probably give it. I don't even know if we ever reviewed that. It didn't come out while we were working,
no.
but I would have given it something like a 5.5. I didn't. I waited so long for something so good, and it just wasn't. You know what I mean?
He says you'd give it a 6.5. They are. They're different stories. And there's some parts of Man of Steel I liked. Like some of the action was really cool. He wasn't saving anybody as the city was being destroyed. That kind of bothered me. But the thing that bothered me the most is, above all else, Superman always finds a way to save lives. He would not have snapped Zod's neck. He would have found a way to save the people and not kill Zod and incapacitate him some way. So doing the easy snap in his neck thing bothered me to no end. Much like Iron Man 3, same situation. Having the Mandarin turn out to just be an actor, I don't like Iron Man 3 for the same reason. I can't get past it. Is that a shortcoming of mine? Probably. But once something like that happens, I can't get past it. It happened in Man of Steel with the neck snapping, happened in Iron Man 3 with the Mandarin twist. So should we give our new ratings? I do believe you gave it a 7. I gave it an 8.2 at our at the theater spoiler-free review. So should we review it again? Should we give updated ratings, sir?
Sure, I'll start. Um, yes, obviously, I thought it was good enough, and it was first time in a long time that I have seen a movie in it twice in its opening weekend. It's been probably maybe since Spider-Man, No Way Home. Can't think of another one I've done that to. So that shows you it's higher up. There are a few things that Um, I wasn't excited by it. That keeps me from rating it higher than what I had at the theater. I will change my rating now, but a few of the I didn't like. Um, I just don't like Isabela Merced. I've seen her in three things so far, and I didn't think she did very good in any of them. It was just I don't know. But did it detract from the whole movie? Just a tiny bit. Guy Gardner, I thought Nathan Fillion was fantastic. I think he's going to be awesome on that show, on Lanterns, and Mr. Terrific. He was like the comic relief character, but the smart guy at the same time. And I don't know, it just didn't. It wasn't a 10 for me on him. It was I don't know, just slightly off. I wouldn't rate his acting as the best. I don't know if the character or whatever, but these are very minor things. They're just like that's why it wasn't knocked out of the park for me. It's not like I didn't like it overall because I thought it was so much brighter of a story. It delivered the hope. He saved other people while fighting other taking care of other bigger things. I thought that was awesome. I thought that, but by the time it got to the end where he finally figured out, Luther was giving him, oh, by the way, Nicholas Hoult, awesome job basing that off of Michael Rosenbaum. He bounced back in his conversations in the movie. He bounced between serious and matter of fact stuff. Like when he gets that guy into the pocket dimension and he gives him a donut and they're having a conversation about what they're going to do next. And in the middle, he stops and says, "Isn't that a fantastic donut? I told you it was the best, And he keeps going. I'm like, that's very Michael Rosenbaum. That's what Rosenbaum did on the show. And then he was very, I don't know. I just thought he did a great job. I thought Dave Corenswet did a great job. All the main actors were great. Perry, Perry was good.
Don't call me Chief.
Don't call me Chief. In every publication ever, he has said that. So I thought that was hilarious. Jimmy Olsen was he's probably not nailing the ladies like they implied. He's probably geekier than that, but still great job. Yeah, and if I did notice that some of the music, like during the fight scene with Mr. Terrific in I don't know what country that was, but that was one of my favorite scenes of the movie because he's just showing off all of his powers. He's kicking ass. He's bouncing everywhere. The music in that scene was amazing. It was good, and I'm gonna raise my rating overall. And I can't think of it. I'm trying to think if there's any other detractors I had from seeing it the second time. I don't think so. I'm going to raise my rating to an 8 out of 10. Not just the 7. I'm going to go full point up 8. And I would probably still watch it again, maybe before the Fantastic Four comes out.
Definitely. And we do have, before I get into my review, I just want to, Brian, Tundra Walker says Mr. Terrific was a little too cool, funny for me. But he wasn't like ha-ha funny. His funny to me was because he's just like so matter of fact. He's like the straight guy, like, he's so annoyed. What, you bring repellent gear into a pocket universe? He's so annoyed by people. I liked the changes to Mr. Terrific. I thought it was great. And then Death Wish Guru says, I have a huge problem with the DCU right now. Is this Superman film the reboot of the DCU? It is. And he said, I thought it was the Batman that kicked off the restart. The Batman is actually a Elseworlds tale. It's not part of the DCU. So the Batman with Robert Pattinson is not part of the DCU. It's an Elseworlds tale. They're going to have their own Batman coming up in Brave and the Bold. So, but what is your huge problem with the DCU now? Is it because the Batman movie that we got 5 years ago? No, 4 years ago? It's been a while. You thought that was the kickoff to the DCU, and it's really not. Let us know. We want to hear your thoughts. And yep, Dave, you did it. You succumb to inflation. He's going to have to tariff you. Now,
oh boy.
I gave this an 8.2 at the theater. And rewatching it, I think I enjoyed Rachel's Lois Lane much more than I did the first time because I was kind of watching it a little closer, she did a tremendous job as Lois Lane. Her acting was top notch. David Corenswet, outside of Christopher Reeve and maybe Tom Welling, he's right up there with those two as great live action Superman. I thought his ability to act differently as Clark and Superman was as good as Christopher Reeve's, which was very underrated back in those movies back in the day. John Williams' theme being in there was great. I mean, the story I thought was excellent. I know you can, nitpick things here and there, but I still loved it. Sitting and watching it, I was a fan. It was a comic book come to life. And I know everybody says that, but that's what I want out of my comic book movies for things like this. We can have dark, grittier tales too, don't get me wrong, but it was just fantastic. It was such a joy watching it, seeing Lex Luthor be evil for evil, beyond evil. He's super genius, but he's also evil. They didn't candy coat that in any way. I mean, he killed that one guy, and then he was threatening to kill Clark Kent after that. That was comic book Lex Luthor. That was Michael Rosenbaum in the later seasons of Smallville kind of getting to that. So this was almost like Michael Rosenbaum's Lex Luthor many years later, what he became.
Next step.
Yeah, next steps. And yeah, Tundra Walker says, best Lois of the franchise, no doubt. I agree. Lex, best of the franchise, him and Rosenbaum. I mean, Nicholas Hoult was great.
Movie-wise.
Yeah, they were both great. So, let's see, Death Wish Guru. See, this is where DC confuses us, and it starts to go downhill once they do that. Now I have to reintroduce to another damn Batman. I get it.
No pearl.
Yeah, no pearls though. But his son will be there, Damian. Hopefully, it'll be done well enough so that it'll make a lot of sense. But like I said, usually in the second go through, I'm like nitpicking, finding little things. But I mean, so many things I caught on the second time, like Tessmacher was Mutant Toes, and then even brought it up later. So you get that connection. The Justice Gang. Being Maxwell Lord's things, which we'll talk about in, what's next. We did see Maxwell Lord at the end of this, and all just very cool stuff that I would expect out of a Superman movie. Was it perfect? No. Was it a great watch at the theater, eating some popcorn? 100% yes. And I'm going to change my score to an 8.5. I loved it. Can't wait to see it again. I'll buy the DVD, the Blu-ray. I'll watch it over. And let's see, Tundra Walker said, I still think the master plan of beating Superman to death with Mortal Kombat moves was kind of lame given he's creating pocket universes. But I think I know why he did that. Because Superman is such a physical thing. He wanted to beat him at what he is strongest at. He wanted to prove to him that his genius and what he could do with a clone of Superman could beat him on that level. I think we will get Lex trying to beat him in other ways, especially like in All-Star Superman, where he tries to poison him with too much sun. We may get that at some point. I think this was just his first go at it, and he wanted to humiliate him with a physical beatdown. And Death Wish Guru said, overall, I did enjoy the heck out of Superman. That seems to be the consensus. I've talked to nobody who didn't like this film. Like, everyone who watched it thought it was great, enjoyed it, outside of some people, online who might, don't like it. But there's always people that don't like films.
Those people put everything down. The people who are putting it down are the same people who put down every superhero thing that comes out.
No purple and green mech armor, no peace. I have a what's next about that there, Tundra Walker, so stay tuned. And Death Wish Guru, now I wait for Fantastic Four and Galactus to set the bar for this next phase. Absolutely.
Absolutely. We're getting a good month for movies in July here.
Yeah, I am fired up for that movie and seeing a non-Cloud Galactus. So, yeah, we're in for a treat, I think, with that movie. Superman was great. I'm expecting Fantastic Four to be as good. And just overall, the beginning of Phase 6 for the MCU. And then hopefully we finish up this multiversal saga, which hasn't been the best, and get on to the mutant saga, which could hopefully bring it back. And, of course, Tundra Walker, no Bucky Cap, no peace. We may still see that at some point in the... oh, my God. Hashtag the
No, the
cloud
cloud
did it
did not
better.
do it better.
Now you're just being combative, Tundra Walker. The cloud did not do it better. Well, actually, we don't know. We haven't seen it yet. I assume we'll get it better in this movie, but he could be right. We will wait and see on July 24th if the cloud did it better. There's no way he did. But now let's talk a little bit about what's next for the DCU. And I'll start with Tundra Walker's green and purple mech suit. I think the Raptor suits that we saw in this movie are the betas for Lex Power's armor. I do think he is going to come back, and because this Lex is so much All-Star Superman Lex, Michael Rosenbaum Lex. So I think we will see at some point him be like, I've perfected this power armor. They have power armor, but it's not as powerful as mine. Mine will let me go toe-to-toe with Superman. So we will definitely see the purple and green mech armor. I don't know when, but I do think that showing this armor, the Raptor armor in this movie, was that segue into Lex's power armor.
Yeah, we mentioned earlier, like the Iron Man evolving. You got to start with something, and then whatever doesn't work, you have to. Like when he was up there spinning and hitting everybody with his laser vision, and I was thinking, man, is he killing him? No, he knows just how much to give them, and they all fall to the ground. And so the Lex will take that and evolve his suit that way.
In my day, we got our power armor in module S4. Thank you for the D&D reference, Tundra Walker. It was greatly appreciated, and yes, I don't think we played it accurately enough because we all had power armor, and I don't think that's how it's supposed to go. It's definitely not how we played it when I got to college, but definitely, I can't remember what S4 was.
Do you think they'll have trilogies like in for each character? Like, do you think Superman would have a trilogy?
I don't.
I would think they have enough material to do that, but maybe they'll just use them in other movies, like you were saying before. Like this is kind of what's next. Maybe is that he would have a movie with Superman, or he'd have with Batman. I'm sorry, or like a Justice League instead of sequels, unless they come up with a really good idea.
Yeah, and I think the story is going to dictate everything about this. If the story's good, we'll get a Superman 2. The only reason I don't think we're going to get a Superman 2 right away is because James Gunn has said, I'm writing, but it's not necessarily a direct sequel. So I don't know if that means it's going to be another Superman movie, but it deals with other things, or it's going to be something like a World's Finest, or maybe even a team up with somebody else or something else going on. So, based on what he said, I don't think we're getting a direct sequel, but it could be a sequel that just deals with other things. And now, speaking of that, I think a lot of people have talked about this. And then oh my God. Well, he has to stop that guy from stealing fractions of a penny. We are not talking about Superman 3, Tundra Walker. And then he has to stop the guy with solar-powered fingernails. That never happened.
That was Ultraman, wasn't it? That's what they called him in that movie, right?
What?
That was in Superman 4.
They didn't call him Ultraman. What did they call him?
Yeah, what did they call him?
I can't remember now.
Lightning Man, no. Yeah, but it was a ridiculous character. And in that movie, you could actually still see the harnesses that held them up when they were flying and stuff. It was just such a bad movie.
It was terrible. And Tundra Walker doesn't remember his name either. Well, you know what? Let's talk about someone's name we do remember. Now that Lex is in jail, and he'll probably have things going on there. All-Star Superman, he was in jail and having people on the outside do his bidding to try to stop Superman and building things. Nuclear Man. Oh, that's right. But I think Maxwell Lord's Lord Tech is going to rise up here while Lex is in jail, and we might see. We do know that Sean Gunn is confirmed to be in Peacemaker season 2. We saw it in the trailer, and it might be that Lord Tech kind of becomes the shadowy backbone of the DCU until Lex is out and doing what he does best. It may be now that Lex is in jail, LexCorp is going to take a back seat, and Lord Tech is going to be the Oscorp of the DCU for a little bit until Lex can come back. And that way they can kind of switch back and forth and go, have something, Maxwell Lord there while Lex is in prison. I do think his tech empire is going to rise up, and I think we'll see that definitely in Peacemaker Season 2. And maybe we'll even get a touch of it in Lanterns. But I don't think it's going to be.
The Justice Gang is powered from Lord, what Lord Industries? Lord Tech?
Lord
forget.
Tech.
Lord Tech. Yeah, and he announced that in the movie after the battle. Brought to you by Lord Tech.
And that's, something that did happen in the comics where he and that's why those uniforms were the way they were. A lot of people were complaining about Guy Gardner and Hawkgirl's uniforms, but, when he kind of funded a Justice League in the comics, he made them wear certain uniforms and stuff. So I think at some point they're going to realize, there's going to be a choice at some point made where Superman and probably Batman, maybe Wonder Woman, decide, hey, we're not joining the Justice Gang or whoever they are, but we need to form something here. And I think a lot of I think Mr. Terrific, Hawkgirl, and even Guy Gardner will all end up joining the Justice League and leave, Maxwell Lord in the dust, because they'll figure out, he wants to use us for his own bidding at times, what's going to benefit him, and that's not really how we should be. So I do think they're going to break away from him at some point. But hey, while they're there, it should be interesting to see how that all transpires.
I think that during that Lantern show, how long is that Lantern show? Do we have any idea?
We don't. We know it's coming out in 2026, but we don't know how many episodes yet or really how long it's going to be.
I think during that show, because they're going to have Hal Jordan and Jon Stewart on that show, I think that at the end of it, Guy Gardner is going to end up doing what he does in the comics, going off into space and being a red Lantern.
I don't think he'll be a Red Lantern this soon, because I really think you have to maybe do some Darkest Night storylines a little bit with the Green Lanterns to break it all off.
Okay.
But it's possible. And Tundra Walker said 8 episodes according to Skynet.
Okay. I think we're going to end up at the end of that series with Jon Stewart as Earth's Green Lantern. Even if we get Kyle, what's Kyle? What's his last name? There's so many.
Hal Jordan?
No, Hal Jordan.
Kyle. Kyle. Oh my God. It starts with a K.
That makes sense.
Yep, I can't remember his name.
But he eventually becomes a Black Lantern. I wonder if he'll be on this show as well, just as a kid or something.
Or you might see. I'm hoping we get a lot of the Green Lantern Corps.
Auburn Sur. Yeah.
That would be fantastic. Even though I don't think we'll get I don't think we'll get an origin story for any of the Green Lanterns. I think they're going to jump right in.
He wouldn't be on it. Unless they do a flashback.
And they could. They could talk about, how did you get your ring? Because maybe Jon Stewart will be new to the Green Lantern Corps in that show, and Hal's like his mentor maybe to start off, and Guy comes and wants to mentor him, and he's like, no.
Yeah. Guy just shows up with the finger like you did in the movie. I thought that was a hilarious scene, by the way. I laughed my ass off in it when the second time I saw it. You know what I'm talking about?
No.
The tanks and the Green Lantern.
Oh, yeah.
It's just like, there we go.
Oh, but I did want to talk too. I was about to bring it up. The next Superman film, and maybe he doesn't consider it a sequel because it's not like Lex Luthor central. Maybe the Justice Gang isn't in it, but maybe we do see Ultraman come back out of that black hole as Bizarro.
That would be interesting.
And
I mean,
it's not, and it might not be the next film, but I do think at some point, I think they're setting it up as that clone will come back and he will be Bizarro. And he'll be like, because even Lex said in this movie, he's not as intelligent as we would like or something. So we got to help him. And it may be that whatever happens to him in that black hole totally changes him into what we know as Bizarro in the comics. And that'd be a good way to tease that, or to tease that in this film by having him go into a black hole and then come out as Bizarro on the other side.
I mean, yeah, it's hard to write villains for a fully powered Superman. I mean, besides, I mean, yeah, you got Zod. I mean, I don't think they're gonna have Zod again in this, very soon in a Superman series.
I agree, because they've done it, in Superman 2 and then in Man of Steel. But I think the way they handled his parents in this set that up a little better, too. So when Zod comes, if he comes, he's like, why are you not ruling this planet? That is what you were meant to do. And then they'll be at odds because of that. It'll set it up that he's more human than Kryptonian once again, because Zod is just coming down and saying, your parents told you to do this. This was the message. Why is it not done? Kind of almost like, Conquest coming to Earth to fight Mark because he hasn't enslaved everybody in Invincible. So, and that could be cool, but you're right. We don't need the Dark Phoenix saga in the MCU, since we've already gotten it twice in movies. They can wait a little while to handle it. We don't need Zod yet. But I do hope at some point we get him. And I know this is going to bother you, Tundra Walker, but, do it right. Oh, that was... Tundra Walker says, I want the second JLA film to be the one where someone hacked Batman's plans to take down every superhero. I forget the name of the storyline. It's Justice League Doom. That's at least the animated film. I don't know if there was another name for the comics. But yeah, that would be cool. I would be down for that. Our buddy Matt, who went to the Tuesday night showing of this, also had a thing. He wants to see Amazo. He thinks Lex Luthor may start working on Amazo while he's in jail, or working with, I can't remember the creator of Amazo now. I should remember his name. But yeah, I think it was part of the Wade JLA run. You might be right. I'm not sure now. I'll have to look that up.
Mark Wade?
Yep. And now, finally, from me, well, no, I got two more things. I do think we're going to see more Mr. Terrific in the DCU. He's been rumored to be in a couple more projects, and James Gunn has already said they might try to get a solo project for him, maybe on Max, like a show to show off. But I think he could be key in kind of forming the new Justice League. He may be the one that figures out, hey, we need to get away from, we can't have a corporate sponsor for our superhero team. Because I don't think Guy is smart enough to figure that out. And Hawkgirl's probably pretty comfortable in what she's doing. But it may be him that figures it out and maybe goes to Superman and Batman and them and be like, listen, we need a team to handle the bigger threats, and we can't have corporate sponsorship. So let's do something. And I think that'd be kind of cool because, he's a genius. Let him do some smart things in there. It doesn't have to be all Batman and Superman or Wonder Woman coming up with the good ideas. So hopefully they give him some cool stuff to do because, you're right. That fight scene that he had at the camp was amazing. And I all want it.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And you're right, Tundra Walker. Amazo is a writing problem. He's just impossible to beat in theory.
That's the same problem with Superman.
Yeah.
Is that if you don't have kryptonite, or like on Smallville, like they did constantly, they took his powers away, but they took his powers away with kryptonite. So if you don't constantly have kryptonite there, it's kind of hard to write for him, because he can beat everything. He just what they always fall back on is like taking his power away or kryptonite. So, but there's no kryptonite left in this on Earth in this new universe. I think what they do is they create many distractions all at once, things that he can't get to.
Yep, that's the best way to kind of handle extreme level of powers. And Tundra Walker said, what were they setting up saying that metahumans had been around for 300 years? Well, if you noticed on the Hall of Justice, there was a mural of the Justice Society. Wildcat, Dr. Fate, I can't remember who else.
The old Lantern, right?
Yeah, the Alan Scott. It looked like he was there. I didn't get a great look at it, but I'll definitely, when it comes out on digital. So I think, setting it up, saying metahumans have been around for 300 years, is only setting up that there was history like Justice Society before the Justice League comes out, because, we could get a throwback movie to the Justice Society setting up a Justice Society in the modern time. So I think that just was a writing thing James Gunn did to have that ability to go back and tell those tales if they want to, or if it fits into something that they're working on. Was that saying this is Superman 3? That's true. It was 3 years ago Superman came. 300 years ago metahumans came. 3 minutes ago he lost his first. I don't think it's saying it's Superman 3, but maybe. Was there anyone stealing pennies in this? I don't remember that. No. Richard Pryor was not in this. It'd be hard since he passed away many years ago. But I wonder if that'll come up again. If that's or if that was just James Gunn just being, let's do everything threes because I like the alliteration. And then my final, what's next for the DCU? Based on this, there's a whole other wonderful what's next we can talk about. But I do think the engineer was in this movie, and it is going to set up when the Justice League kind of breaks away from Maxwell Lord and they become their kind of own thing. I think the Authority is going to form. I don't necessarily think it'll be under Maxwell Lord, but it might be. Could even be Lex Luthor. I think, because the Justice League is kind of about personal agency, hope, and transparency, the Authority is more, they value control, efficiency, and moral superiority. So I think we're going to see those two teams possibly being at odds at some point. So we may get a Justice League versus the Authority. I think we'll get an Authority movie first, kind of showing that they're not as hopeful as what you expect from the Justice League, and I think it'll lead to a confrontation. I mean, you could have, Superman versus Apollo, where they're kind of equal power-wise, but their philosophies are completely different. You could see Mr. Terrific battle the Engineer. Obviously, they're both using nanotech and all of that. You could get Hawkgirl versus Midnighter, Savage versus Tactical. Obviously, Hawkgirl's the Savage. And then, you could have Green Lantern versus Jack Hawksmoor, because he's probably thinking, he's an easy one. I don't got to handle, but he taps into the power of the city, so he could be a big problem for Guy Gardner. And then here is... go ahead.
Well, don't forget about John Cougar Mellencamp being on that team, because he fights Authority, and Authority always wins.
So he is the enemy in the Authority movie, and they beat him. Yes, you're right. And I think he was just John Cougar when that song came out.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Then here, are you ready for this? This is what I think the key to this movie is going to be. This is going to be Justice League versus the Authority. The twist, the big reveal, is going to be Supergirl. Because even though she is going to, ideology-wise, fit with the Authority, she's going to choose the Justice League, and she's going to be the turning point, swayed by her cousin, his compassion and everything else, and basically her joining them will turn the tide and let the Justice League beat the Authority. So mark that down.
That's a in-depth prediction.
I know.
I mean, you beginnings, conclusions of things that haven't been announced yet. I like it.
I've been thinking about this movie nonstop since I watched it Tuesday. I mean, I really... Oh, my God. And Tundra Walker, no Liefeld feet, no peace. You know what? Mr. Terrific was funnier in this than Richard Pryor was in 3. Yes, he was.
Yeah. What are you doing down there, man? I'm doing important stuff down here.
I'm doing some important stuff.
I'm not just playing around.
I think an Injustice tie-in is more likely. I just don't know. I really don't think that they're going to do any multiversal stuff this early. We got to get a little more distance between the multiversal saga from the MCU for them to do anything like that. I mean, we may, but if they, I don't want them to do an Injustice thing. I want them to do, Kingdom Come type stuff where, that Superman was raised as his Kryptonian parents wanted him to be. And obviously, this Superman would have trouble with that. But I think they got enough stories. They can stay far away from multiversal stuff in the DCU until all of this multiversal saga is in the past and forgotten. And hopefully, they can do it much better. Actually, have some more multiversal stuff in their multiversal saga. Because it hasn't been much. Oh, don't even bring that up. How dare you,
That's the best movie ever. What are you talking about?
But don't get me wrong. An Injustice type thing down the line would be very cool. I would be down for that. The Injustice cartoon, the Injustice animated film is really good. I enjoyed that quite a bit. But hey, anything else? Anyone want to give us their ratings? Tundra Walker, I think you gave us your rating. I can't remember it. I don't know.
8.5.
That's right, an 8.5. You gave that to Man of Steel and to this. Anyone else out there want to give us their rating? Let us know. Did you enjoy it? Have you seen it more than once? It did make...
Who's that other chatter? Death Wish Guru. If you got a rating, we'd love to hear it.
He did say he loved it. Yeah, overall, I did enjoy the heck out of Superman. So...
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to leave now at breakneck speed. See what I did there? Oh, dear God. Well, thank you. You are going to Kal-El, Jor-El. We get it. Or Zod, I should say. Oh, my God. But thanks for coming by, Tundra Walker. We always appreciate it. We love your comments. Thank you for coming by. Can't wait to hear your take on Fantastic Four First Steps. You got anything else? The future of DC-wise there, Mr. Kinchis?
I do not. I think I sprinkled them in there, and I don't have anything more than that. At the moment, I'm reserving the right to bring it up later.
Oh, we always, anytime we get a what's next in our head, we'll bring it up because that's what we do here. But I think we should find somebody to raid.
Let's do that.
And for those of you wondering what raiding is, it's something we do on Twitch, sending our viewers to another content creator that we appreciate and enjoy, sharing the love. There is a way to do it on YouTube, but it is clunky and not good. So we don't do it. Let's see.
Yeah, I see Lara Loopsy or Flake of Wrath. Both with like 5 people.
Let's do Lara Loopsy. We have not rated her in some time. So, like I said, there is a way to do it on YouTube, but it's clunky and we don't do it. Because you actually have to know who's online before you even, who's live, I should say, before you even go on. So, we don't do it. But maybe one day we will. But we're going to raid Lara Loopsy, for those of you who don't know her. I think she's playing Destiny 2, prepping for the DLC. She's a wonderful streamer, so stay on. Give her a follow if you like her. And we will see you guys all on Thursday, where we'll be talking about Solo Leveling, episodes 4 through 6. If you didn't see our stream from last Thursday, we did episodes 1 through 3. Wonderful little anime that so far I'm enjoying immensely. Let's hope that continues, but we will see you all on Thursday. Thank you so much, everybody.
Hey, fellow nerds. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you want to see more of this stuff, make sure that you check out our Twitch stream. We try to do these live Sunday or Monday nights, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Keep an eye on our social media to find out when you can join in live and chat with us during these live streams. Also, as usual, don't forget to check out our other social media. Add us at Twitter, comment down below, and we'll see you next time right here on Not Your Status Quo.